name is Megan Russell.
And my name is Christopher Russell, and welcome back to Page by Page, Writing the Book in Real Time, episode 23. Yes, that is right. We are back to the book proper and away from that horrible hot sauce. In fact, right before we got onto this...
Did you just say episode 23 or chapter 23?
Episode 23. Didn't I?
But this is chapter 23.
No, it's not. This is chapter 22.
Oh.
Yeah, I mislabeled it when I sent it to myself.
I'm so confused.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. The number system is confusing. Didn't your literary manager tell you that literally just a few days ago?
Yeah. No, it was like a couple weeks ago. We're going to, for season 2.
Yeah. We're not going to do a part 1, part 2 anymore?
We're going to figure out...
A better numbering system?
A better numbering system.
I like it.
But that's
it's a good idea.
kind of been the thing with Page by Page is that we are learning. We are figuring out this process as we go.
It's true.
And we figured out that doesn't work. So we
also figured out that almost 3 million Scoville heat units is too much for either of us.
Okay, so I cried for a little bit. I had like 5
Do you want me
really
to go
bad
get some
minutes.
again?
No.
We can go try it again.
I never want to do that again because the smell, it wasn't even the heat.
It was
the smell. The smell
I'm giving her
was the
side eye.
worst part.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm not saying the heat wasn't bad.
The smell for you was the worst part.
The smell.
It was awful. That heat was terrible.
I would rather lick that sauce again than have to smell any of it.
Wow.
It was so bad.
That is remarkable. Because that's something else.
I don't know what it is.
So I was actually just texting with Justin before we got on here, and he was like, Justin
is our friend Justin.
Yes,
sorry, he talks about people like everyone in the world should know the people.
Yeah, you should know my friend Justin. He's awesome. Part of my favorite band, Year of Plenty. But Justin was like, yeah, I noticed that you guys like cut off the episode right after that last dab. Did you explode? And I was like, no, we were just in so much pain.
No, it wasn't that. It was, okay, so what actually ended up happening?
That hurts.
The reason that we cut the episode is because I made a classic Kardashian duckbill face and shoved my lips into milk. So I was holding my lips in the top of the cup like a child who doesn't quite understand how a cup goes.
Yeah.
And so I could not, in fact, speak anymore. But I had my lips like that for about 5 minutes as I was slowly lapping the milk over my tongue like a little kitten.
Mm-hmm.
And after about 5 minutes of that absurdity, I was okay.
Yeah, it took me longer. It took me probably 10, 15 minutes.
You were suffering longer.
It was bad.
And I dealt with the spice
It took me longer. But see, what's funny is that it took me longer to get to disliking the level of heat than it did you. But then at the end, you I don't know. It was so strange. You dealt with the hottest stuff better than I did. But I dealt with the lower rung stuff better than you did.
Because it's the smell. It smells bad.
It's my favorite line from The Matrix, by the way. It's the smell. Sorry. What?
I haven't. Okay. And continue.
Yay. Okay. Hey, since you said it, we get to have them now. All right. So let us introduce.
Wait, is that the key?
That's the key.
As I say my first
so this is the beer of the week. This is, I think arguably probably the nicest beer that we have had, although I don't think I like this one quite as much as Abbott 12. Megan, stop.
I'm wafting the beer towards my nose near the microphone in hopes of you being able to psychically know how good it is, because this one is so good, y'all.
Yeah. All right. So cheers to this. This is La Trappe. It is a Trappist ale made by monks.
You're a Trappist ale. Mm-hmm. I just realized for the people watching the video, I put on the wrong red shirt.
I closed my book to be here. But you did close your book to be here.
No, I didn't. My book is literally open on your laptop. That's it.
Oh,
that's my book,
true.
So it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. You're right. You're right. That's okay, though. We'll fix it in post. No, we won't. Okay, so...
Yeah, just Photoshop me in a different shirt.
Then, since your book is open, and you are an open book, I'm an open book, you're not. But why don't you give us a last time on?
We're going to do Central Florida Comic Con later? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so stay tuned after we finish the chapter because I have some really exciting things to talk about with Central Florida Comic Con and some other upcoming events. So yeah, stay tuned.
I've got a quick question for you. What do you think of this compared to Abbott 12? I like Abbott 12 better. I do.
I need a side-by-side.
Oh my gosh. I mean, this one is very good.
I need a side-by-side.
It's a little bit too sparkly.
I would like a flight. I love flights.
You want a flight? What?
That's what we should do. For the next catch-up episode, we should do flights.
Didn't Brittany already propose this?
I have a brain injury and I don't remember any of this.
Well, she proposed me doing a flight that got of dark beers that just got more stout as we went further down the line, and you did IPAs that are hoppier.
Yes.
You want to do that?
Yes.
That would definitely be much more affordable than a flight of Belgians. A flight of Belgians is going to cost me like $100.
We'll switch.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, this is a great idea.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll start off with each other's beer and then be like, nope.
Yeah, and then when we're done,
I like it.
We'll after the episode we'll get to do it.
I think that's fantastic. Okay, great. So go ahead.
Previously on Sketchbook of a Wayward Seer, the author left you in a really horrible place over the Christmas
2
break.
weeks. I was suffering with you.
Yes, that is very true. So, previously on Sketchbook of a Wayward Seer, Ella Day finally agreed to help Violet look for Clara, who has been missing for over a year. Mm-hmm. Ella goes to, I almost said Violet. Violet is not a seer. Spoiler alert, she's a full-blooded werewolf. Yeah. It's not a spoiler, but no, I'm not trying to be like sneaky and be like, oh no, I exposed.
Continue.
It's only cute when I do it. But yes, so Ella goes to a cabin selected by Caleb, the Dryad Fae, and she is with Violet the werewolf, and they are finally going to try to find Clara with Ella acting as a seer. So she's done some detective work. She's done poking around. She's done all the human things that she can do. Mm-hmm. But all of those efforts have failed. So now she has no choice but to use her seer gift. And in using that, we watch her go through a series of traumatic scenes. And in the final scene, we find out that Clara has been murdered and that she actually died the night that she disappeared. Yeah. So that is where we pick up with Ella Day in the cabin with the knowledge that Clara's dead.
Yeah. And it's so sad, especially for Violet. You really feel for her because she has been waiting on this answer for how long has it been?
It's been like a year and a half.
Yeah. So she's been holding out hope that maybe Clara was alive for a year and a half. And now to finally have
that's how years work because the coming spring would be 2 years.
Okay, so yes, then year and a half.
So she's been gone for a year and a half.
That's rough. That sucks.
And it's been too late the whole time.
I also want to go ahead and say, because I meant to write this down, but if you listened to the Hot Ones episode, I think it was the Hot Ones episode. Yes, it was. You say something in that that is very revealing about one of the characters. And I was like, oh my gosh, if you were paying attention and like, you'd have to really, and I mean, really be paying attention. Don't worry about it. No. It's akin to what the quote unquote spoiler, not spoiler that you told me that I was like, Megan Elizabeth.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, but it was when we were talking about a specific topic and I listened to it later and I went, oh my goodness. Ooh, if you're paying attention, then you will know a certain something about a certain character that has not come up yet.
Well, if anyone finds it in the Hot Ones episode, let me know because I want to know what it is.
I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
The sweet sound of the siren calling Odysseus forward toward the cliffs while he remains tied to the ship and all of his sailors, all of his men have cotton shoved into their ears. I don't think it's cotton, but it's something else. And he alone hears the siren's call. What? There were sirens. We're in Orlando, okay? I was doing something with it.
I'm so sorry. I let him have 2 cups of coffee and Claritin Deep today.
To clarify, well, it was Mucin XD, right? But to clarify, it wasn't 2 cups of coffee, okay? This is what my wife drinks frequently. This is not 2 cups of coffee. What this is actually 10 shots of espresso worth of coffee is what this is. Yeah. So not 2 cups, 10 shots of espresso.
Oops.
And my heart has not exploded yet. So I think that we're doing well. All right. So are you ready to get into this?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you sure?
The way you looked at me, I'm not sure anymore. Yes?
Yes is the correct answer. Okay. So without further ado, I give you Sketchbook of a Wayward Seer by Megan O. Russell. Chapter 22. Being murdered sucks. Surviving being murdered in someone else's body is temporarily worse. The pain of impact blasted through me, searing my nerves as bones broke, organs ruptured, and flesh tore. Agony blurred the cabin, the real Caleb-chosen cabin, with blazing white light. But the wounds dragging screams from my throat weren't truly mine, so my mind didn't have the sense to let me just fucking pass out from the pain. "I've got you," the voice spoke near my ear. The sound swooped around me, muddying everything but the now pulsating agony. Fear surpassed pain as something blocked my throat. I choked, gagging, unable to swallow, unable to breathe. My lungs spasmed. "Shit, Ella!" Arms tightened around me. Arms ready to carry me to the cliff, ready to throw me over the cliff. I kicked back, flailing with as much force as I could muster, tipping myself away from my captor. A renewed wave of pain smothered my fear as my knees hit solid ground. Hands grabbed my waist, stopping my fall before my face hit the floor, jolting me hard enough to force a cough, expelling the blockage from my throat. Blood coated my tongue. Gasping in air, I gripped the floor. Slick plastic curled up in my fingers. I had nothing steady to hold on to, no anchor, no hope of fighting as the hands lifted me, sitting me up, sending a fresh slash of blazing pain across my back. "You're alive. You're in pain because you're alive. We should call Miss Blackwood." The words speared through the still bright, pulsating blur, pinging as dangerous enough to let reason pierce the pain. "Your body isn't broken. You can breathe. You can speak. Speak, Ella. Fucking speak." "No, Kate," the words rasped out. I knew it was the right thing to say, even though why it was right hadn't solidified. "Okay." Shadows broke through the blur, the shapes too indistinct to offer comfort. "Violet, she needs—" "We're not!" My scream drowned out the words as the arms around me shifted, gently easing my weight sideways, leaning me against something that didn't tremble with the pulsing of the pain. "She needs help." I let go of the slippery plastic, daring to cling to the steady thing, willing my mind to break through the pain enough to give me back my eyes. What happened? Sorry, I had to decide whose voice that was. What happened? I held on to the voice. Stop it. Stop judging me. I held on to the voice. Snappy, familiar. Violet? Dragging myself closer to reality. "What did you see? Back down!" Caleb locked his arms around me, armor and cage all in one. The red spots on the floor solidified first. Blood spattered and smeared on the plastic drop cloth. Blood staining the sketchbooks and pencils. I hacked out more blood with my scream as I twisted, trying to reach a pencil, paying for the movement with a slash of pain blazing from my hips to my skull. "Here." Violet's hands trembled as she flipped open a sketchbook, pressing it and a pencil into my hands. "Don't push her," Caleb said. Must push. Must push. Push for what? Details before they disappear. A red smudge tainted the fresh page before I'd even managed to touch pencil to paper. "You know how this works, Ella. You didn't do this for nothing, Ella. Make the pain mean something, Ella." I started scrawling out simple notes. White paper room. Blood on face. Crying. Club. Face punch. Purple room. Luca. Fight. Purple room. Violet read over my shoulder. "What does purple room mean?" The heat of her breath touched my face. Sour joined the taste of blood in my mouth. I swallowed it down. Woods. Sparkles. Lizard man. That wasn't right. I knew it wasn't right. My hand throbbed as it clung to the memory of shattering on impact a few moments before. Trees. Cliff. Cliff. What cliff? Violet's breath touched my face again. This time, I couldn't stop the sick. My stomach lurched. Like I was a cat about to heave on his bed, Caleb snatched me up, dashing to the bathroom, angling me over the toilet just in time for me to spew blood. "Damn it!" He sounded worried. The blood didn't taste right. "What cliff, Ella?" Violet said. "Out, now," Caleb said. How could blood not taste right? With inhuman ease, Caleb managed to get me seated on the bathroom floor, one hand holding me steady, the other wetting a hand towel under the tub's tap. I gripped my sketchbook and pencil, staring at the barely legible words I'd scrawled out, fighting the panic that promised I'd already lost every important detail I'd just let myself be murdered to gain. Lizard man, woods, sparkles, face punch. Pretending funneling enough focus into keeping my hand steady could block out the pain, I fixed my hold on my pencil and added to the list. Hand, mirror, hand, cliff. Ella, what did you see? Violet stood just inside the bathroom door. Caleb bared his teeth, growling a warning. As Violet stepped back, he lifted my hair over my shoulder and pressed a cool cloth to the back of my neck. Cliff. Cliff. What cliff, Ella? Not a cliff. A jagged tear through the universe. It had been the last thing I'd seen before pain devoured me. Fear dragged down my throat, carving through my lungs, trying to tear open my chest from the inside. Yes, the gaping maw of the monster was the right place to begin. The tear, the maw, the cliff, the fissure in the cliff. Hunched over the blood-stained paper, I sketched the crooked, jagged shape of the opening twice, making sure my mind hadn't twisted it before moving on to the trees within the fissure that reached up toward the sky and the rocks and brush that peeked out far below. She's drawing a cliff. Why the fuck is she drawing a cliff? I didn't look up. I couldn't. I needed to add the silhouette. A mountain? It had to be, reaching up into the storm clouds. Tears fell onto the paper. I swiped them away with the back of my hand, smudging the pencil. I flipped the page and started a new sketch. Clara standing in front of a mirror, staring at her hand. A comforting chill grazed the nape of my neck. I leaned into the sensation like a cat begging for pets, the throbbing in my limbs ebbing just a sliver as my body accepted the relief. Footsteps traveled away and right back into the bathroom. I have electrolyte water, crackers, and whiskey, Violet said. She just vomited blood. Caleb stole the chilly comfort from my neck. And she's the one who asked for this shit. Would you rather I give her the fucking electrolyte she asked for or shake her until she talks? Shit, he muttered. I flipped the page again, moving on to the shape of the monster that had attacked Clara. Murdered Clara. My hand froze as my mind clawed through the fragmented, upside-down images of the murdering beast, hitting the wall, on the ground, chasing Clara. I couldn't piece together a clear enough silhouette. I squeezed my eyes shut. The images kept dancing around, dodging away from me like some vicious part of my brain delighted in whisking the details away like a taunting-ass fuck. Take a sip. Plastic touched my bottom lip. I obeyed, tipping my head back, letting Caleb pour cool liquid into my mouth. The water's vague berry flavor was an improvement over the blood. Clara had had blood in her mouth when the monster leaned over her. Tree branches had crisscrossed behind the murderer. Trees growing close to the edge of the cliff. I opened my eyes and flipped to a new page, sketching the shape of the branches, leaving the center of the image blank, giving myself a place to add the monster once I could hang on to anything about him beyond black and scaly. Caleb gave me more water, then returned the cool towel to the nape of my neck. He kept switching back and forth, water, towel, keeping up a near-constant volley of anger-laced murmurs with Violet as I drew the cliff again and again and again. When the water flavor moved from berry to the one that can only be described as blue, I rammed my mind away from the cliff to dig for details about the club. It's important too, Ella. Every detail is important. All important, important, important. I didn't realize I'd been sobbing until my lungs started snagging on catch breaths as my body calmed. I didn't know if I'd been crying since the vision or if I'd stopped and started again. I didn't know when the pain in my body had faded from agony to the night. Oh, man. Oh, that was a good run.
That was a great run.
Yeah, cheers to a good run.
That was so good.
Oh, man. That was good.
That was like 6 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. For reference, the whole chapter is 20 pages, and he made it 6 without a break.
Yeah. Yeah, that's almost a third of the way through.
I'm so proud.
Thank you so much. All right. Oh, okay. Again, let's see if I can make it 6 more pages.
Forward, ho.
Did you just call me a hoe?
I did.
That's rude. Okay. Backing up a line. Well, the line that I just messed up. I didn't know when the pain in my body had faded from agony to the not quite numb sting of cold. I need a new pencil. A rug burn-like stabbing scraped up my throat. To draw what? Violet's face appeared right above my sketchbook. An achingly glorious mixture of anger, fear, and hope filled her eyes. Paint her running into battle. She would be beautiful. Ella. Violet took my hand, squeezing hard enough it should have hurt. The cloth left my neck as Caleb sprang from sitting to crouching beside me, ready to attack. Violet loosened her hold. My fingers discovered the stickiness of the dried blood covering them. Ella? The faux kindness in Violet's voice didn't match the werewolf on the edge energy thrumming from her body. Where's Clara? No, 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 no. Did you find her? No, no. Stop. Please stop. Tell me where Clara is. Dead, 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 dead. Where is she? Dead. Caleb knocked Violet away, planting himself as a shield between us. Violet didn't fight back. I couldn't see her face as she sank down, leaning against the far wall of the bathroom. I'm a coward, so I was glad. Please. Tears hitched Violet's voice. Just tell me. I opened my mouth, foolishly thinking the right thing to say would spring forth from some deep source of wisdom I'd never before managed to tap. I should do that again. I opened my mouth, foolishly thinking the right thing to say would spring forth from some deep source of wisdom I'd never before managed to
What did you do to tie today? 1:45 to 12?
Yeah, I did. 1:45 to 2. How dare you?
I don't know.
Oh, man. All right. I opened my mouth, foolishly thinking the right thing to say would spring forth from some deep source of...
I opened my mouth, foolishly thinking the right thing to say would spring forth from some deep source of wisdom I'd never before managed to... Oh,
see?
man.
I'd see.
Okay, no.
I feel like...
I want another try.
I'm glad. So this is great. This is nice levity in such a depressing scene.
I want to
okay,
try.
Go ahead.
I opened my mouth, foolishly thinking the right thing to say would spring forth from some deep source of wisdom I'd never before managed to tap.
It was almost clean. This is hard. Hey, you narrators out there, props, man. That is so hard. This is why I'm not a professional narrator. Okay, here we go.
From the next line?
Yeah, from the next line. Ugh. Caleb twisted, glancing my way, the movement ruining his use and blocking Violet from view. The hope in her eyes had withered, barely clinging to life, leaving only rage-laced fear behind. That made it easier. She's dead. The horrifically plain announcement of Clara's terrible end was all I could manage. 2 breaths passed before the fear in Violet's eyes coiled into snide anger. She started shaking her head before she found words. You're wrong. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The echo bounced through my brain, distorting the details fatigue had already begun draining away. Focus, Ella. Focus, Ella. But which details mattered most? You did your shitty ritual wrong, Violet said. Violet, Caleb said. Focus, Ella. The shape of the DJ booth at the club. She said herself she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing, Violet said. The shape of the booth could help me find the club. I grabbed a fresh sketchbook. You saw what happened. Well-wrangled fear lowered the pitch of Caleb's voice. Not in my reading of it, it didn't. I couldn't let myself wonder what they'd seen while I'd been tumbling through visions, not when the shape of the DJ booth could lead to the club, which could lead to the man Clara had punched, which could lead to the scaly monster that murdered Clara. Not just dead. Murdered, 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 murdered. A sob broke in my throat. The pain of overuse surrounded my lungs. That doesn't mean she's right about Clara. Fear clawed back into the anger in Violet's voice, like an audible representation of her desperate scramble toward the comfort of rage. The crack that swallowed Clara, yanked my mind away from the DJ booth. A fissure 50 feet deep, maybe a little more. If you're going to snap, take it outside. Caleb sounded close to kind. I am not delivering this well.
No, make your acting choices. Make your acting choices.
Okay, all right, I'll make my acting choices. Okay. I'm going to take it back a little bit. Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to take a sip of your beer every time you get it wrong.
Oh, that's not cool. Okay.
I'll just reach across
No, you shan't. Stop it. If you're going to snap, take it outside. Caleb sounded close to kind. Better? Mm-hmm. Great, okay. But smashing everything in your hidey hole would be so much more fun, Violet said. I tried to drive my mind away from the cliff, tunneling through the chaos, reaching toward the image of the club, but I couldn't remember if there had been a sign above the DJ. We need to be done for the night, Caleb said. The book on the bed in the purple room had muddied too. I'd never been able to read the title, but I'd lost the color of the cover now. I can get Ella home, Caleb said. We're not fucking leaving. I pivoted back to the only scene my failing brain could still grasp, fixating fully on the crack in the cliff. Its slight curve, the boulder on the far side, all of it pathetically generic. If whatever she thinks she saw, no more thinking for me, has anything to do with Clara, I'm not letting the Sybil out of my sight until I hear all of it, Violet said. The Sybil. The detached beauty of the epithet dulled my guilt as fatigue won, wrapping a heavy weight around my brain, smushing the rest of the unclaimed details from my mind, leaving me incapable of useful thought. She could have seen Clara sleeping someplace weird. Violet leapt to her feet. Or maybe Clara's hurt. I set the sketchbook and pencil down. A fresh blister pulsed on the side of my middle finger. And if she did see Clara... Violet's voice broke, skipping her over the word dead. It's in the future, and we have to get to Clara before it's too late. I stacked the sketchbooks, lining up the edges. There is no too late. You're wrong, Violet said. I'm not. I'm sorry that I'm not. A fresh mixture of fear, panic, and wrath radiated from Violet. You're fucking wrong. I saw the night Clara disappeared. You were right. She did run out the back door of Widow Tomic's house. My arms shook as I tried to push myself up to sit on the edge of the bathtub. Caleb grabbed my waist, steadying me. The thing, or person, I couldn't tell what it was. They were fighting in the kitchen, but there was something wrong. Clara wasn't moving like a wolf. I don't know if she was hurt or drugged or cursed, but something was wrong, and it stayed wrong. My body couldn't muster the energy for more tears. The monster chased her out the back door. Then he had her on a cliff. It couldn't have been more than a few hours later. The storm felt the same. Even though I'd only worn Clara's skin on the cliff, not feeling the rain on my face until the pain of her wounds became mine, I knew I was right. I fucking hated how much I knew I was right. I swallowed hard, proving to myself I wasn't choking on Clara's blood. There was a deep crack in the cliff face. He threw her down. But that doesn't mean... Violet shut her eyes. Clara's a werewolf. She could have survived. She didn't. I was in her body for the impact. I felt it happen. Violet went still. The whole fucking world went still, like the cosmos' reminder of how fucked up what I'd just done really was and how badly I was going to keep paying for it. Nauseating dread curled through my gut as the memory of cold fingers touching my cheek carved fear down my spine. I stood, grateful for Caleb taking my elbows to hold me steady, even though it made me feel like a china doll that couldn't be trusted to stay up on its own. Ella, Violet whispered. The Sybil had been easier to bear. If there's any way you're wrong, we have to find Clara. Tears glistened in Violet's eyes. There's got to be a way to help her. Please. Fuck. Be smart, Ella. Stick to the code, Ella. Vengeance gets messy, Ella. Don't work with locals, Ella. Clara died the night she disappeared, and there's nothing we can do to change that. I stepped free from Caleb's hold. But if you're into revenge, bad fucking idea, Ella. The thing that killed her is still out there, and I'd really prefer that walking fucking nightmare hop over to the dead column. Want to help? The spark I'd hoped for flared to life in Violet's eyes. What do you need? Currently, protein and aspirin. My legs shook as I stepped closer to the sink. Caleb reached for me, stopping shy of grabbing my elbow again. You were just vomiting blood. That stopped like an hour ago, I said. Try 3 hours ago. Even better. I gripped the edge of the sink, practicing my epic detachment skills as I studied my face in the mirror. The deliberately drawn lines of blood had been ruined. My eyelids smeared by swiped-away tears, my forehead broken through by rivulets of sweat, and everything from my mouth down stained deep red. The cozy colors of the bathroom cracked, splitting in thin white lines. The lights above the mirror twisted. Fuck. I turned on the tap and shoved my face beneath the freezing water, yelping at the instant stab of cold-made pain in my head. You're just tired. You can hold on. I let the water sting my skin until the world felt steady, then, keeping my eyes closed, turned the tap to warm and scrubbed my face and neck, not stopping until the water had begun to burn. When I finally got brave enough to straighten up and check my face in the mirror, my skin had gone red from the heat. Soaking strands of hair hung around my face, but from the collarbone up, I'd washed away all the blood. Aside from my still gross tank top, I could have been bobbing for apples. A dark, calming haze of humor steadied my hands as I took a fresh towel from beside the sink to dry my face. I'd only bobbed for apples 3, maybe 4 times in my life. Pathetic compared to my experience.
Experience?
I have no idea. I'd only bobbed for apples 3, maybe 4 times in my life. Pathetic compared to my experience with corpses. Your sweater's dry. Violet held out my sweater in one hand and a piece of jerky in the other. Thanks. Caleb turned away as I peeled off my tank top. Violet's gaze snapped toward him, eyeing him like he'd faced the wall in preparation for attack. Don't mind Caleb, he's a modest gentleman. I took my sweater from Violet. The soft knit trailed pain down my back as the touch of the fabric reminded my body my flesh had torn just a few hours ago. Clara's flesh. It wasn't you. Disassociate, Ella. What had been pleasant a moment before, peppery taste of the jerky gained a metallic tang. How many aspirin? The pills rattled as Violet pulled the bottle from her pocket. A warning ache slid down my throat as I swallowed the jerky. Twice the human dosage. Violet opened the cap and jammed her finger through the protective foil seal. You were vomiting blood, Caleb said. Yeah, sorry about that, I said. You can't take aspirin if your stomach is bleeding. Caleb glanced over his shoulder, making sure I was clothed before turning around. Glaring at Caleb, Violet handed me the pills. Ella. Caleb reached out, using his arm as a barrier, blocking Violet from my path to the bathroom door. Maybe you should skip the aspirin and try to rest. Back the fuck off, Caleb. Violet's voice gained a growl that seemed to promise she desperately wanted to tear someone's intestines out, and though Caleb's were not the particular intestines she craved, she would be happy to use him for evisceration practice. Caleb didn't flinch. She needs sleep. Coffee and aspirin can... Have you missed everything that's happened here? Oh, sorry. Man. See, this is... Okay, so lesson for those of you who don't know anything about narration is that good narrators... unlike certain ones, never mind. We're not going to talk about them. You know who I'm talking about, though. But good narrators will actually go through, read this, and make like colors. So color coordinate the characters. Because I'm not a narrator, I'm not doing that. But maybe I should consider it in the future.
Because you got this chapter literally less than 24 hours ago.
Truth.
I feel like you can be forgiven. It's part of the beauty of the live writing of the podcast is that this is all raw.
It is all raw. It is raw. Okay.
We are figuring it out as we go. And that is what we are bringing people along for.
Right.
Even in the uglier moments when you get the voices wrong like an amateur.
How dare you? All right.
I'm absolutely kidding. If you had seen my face. I'm a
professional.
You are a professional.
Just not, okay. not at this. Okay. Go ahead. Say it. Say it.
Moving right along.
For Pete's sake. Okay. Back the fuck off, Caleb. Violet's voice gained a growl that seemed to promise she desperately wanted to tear someone's intestines out, and though Caleb's were not the particular intestines she craved, she would be happy to use him for evisceration practice. Caleb didn't flinch. She needs sleep. Coffee and aspirin can... Have you missed everything that's happened here? Violet cut me off, baring her teeth at Caleb. Caleb bared his teeth right back, the two of them like angry dogs fighting over their favorite chew toy, me being the chew toy. My friend was murdered, Violet said, which makes Ella and me a little bit busy. Ella and me, stated like an established duo. Well, fuck. I turned on the tap, drinking water from my cupped hand and gulping down the aspirin to remind my body I was fucking fine so my nerves would stop slamming random waves of pain through me. Whether or not the relief came from some placebo bullshit, I didn't care. Anytime you want to walk out, Caleb, go ahead, Violet said. We don't need you here. Violet, look at her. Caleb fucking pointed at me. She has to rest. Teeth still bared, Violet flicked her glare to me. Her lips slowly closed as she studied my face. Fuck, I must be bad. We should get her back to Miss Blackwood's, Caleb said. Her can hear you. She can get some sleep, and we'll meet back up tomorrow to start. Caleb shook his head in a perfect display of confused resignation to oncoming trauma. Whatever it is we're supposed to do next. Are you including yourself in this, Weir? Violet's tone lacked venom. Whether you like it or not, Caleb said. Maintain that delusion for now and help me clean up the blood. I've got it. I picked up the towel I'd used to dry my face. No, Caleb said as Violet said, please don't. Just get your boots on without spattering anything else, Violet said. Was that better delivery for you?
That was better delivery. We had some line notes earlier. I was like, Violet is not always at level 10 rage.
No, not always level 10 rage, but she's always at a little bit of rage.
Well, yeah, but you don't need to have your variance between 9.5 and 10.
No, she always talks like this because that's how werewolves talk. It's not how werewolves talk.
That's not how werewolves talk.
It's not how werewolves talk. Okay. Okay. Where were we? Oh, yes. They left me standing at the sink as they sped through cleaning up my mess. I studied my face in the mirror, searching for the flaw that had betrayed my weakness. The dark smudges beneath my eyes did look like I was a sickly Victorian child. My skin had gone creepy pale and waxy. Red lines cut through the whites of my eyes. Nowhere near the worst I'd been, but I could only dredge up a few drops of resentment for their talking around me as they made plans for the next day, well, later in the current day technically, and decided Caleb would drive me home, since I apparently couldn't be trusted with keys. I proved them right, passing out in the passenger seat of the truck before we'd hit the paved roads. Even as my mind wobbled its way down to the awful place where dreams, visions, memories, and reality all weave together, I never lost my awareness of the precious sketchbooks clutched in my hands. Murky moments twisted in and out of being. Caleb in a cabin, the scene almost familiar as he slid his furious gaze from a lit lamp to me. He wasn't angry with me, though. Definitely not with me. A breeze swept Caleb aside, whisking in an also furious Paige. She held up a spool of string, the same kind she'd used for the web of pictures I'd seen on her wall. This won't be enough, you know. She unwound a foot of string, then grabbed my hand, stealing the comfort of the sketchbook's spiral spines cutting into my fingers, tipping my palm up to the invisible sky. A phantom sting sliced into my flesh as she wound the string around my wrist. Not enough pain to make me scream, only a reminder that my body held the memory of another's agony, and that's not the kind of shit you get to forget. So easy to break. Paige frowned as she tied the string into a tiny bow. Something about her hand, not the way it looked fine, curdled a primal fear in my gut. Doesn't matter in the end. She hurled the spool into the distance. We stood together, watching it soar farther and farther, one end tied to me, linking me to something far out of sight. Nothing can save you from the fall. Paige planted a hand on my back and shoved me forward. A crack ripped through the world, and I fell. The ground raced toward me, the string around my wrist snapped, and I woke up screaming from the pain of the impact. Ella, you're okay. The voice broke through my gasping panic as I tried to tear myself out of my seatbelt. Breathe, you're okay, just breathe, Ella. My brain let me figure out that it was Caleb talking. Then that it was Caleb rubbing my back and freeing me from my seatbelt, before finally making it all the way to figuring out that we were in Kate's driveway, and Paige tossing me off a cliff had probably been Caleb misjudging the truck's tetchy brakes. I waited to speak until I knew my voice could be steady. Sorry. You're a broken record, Ella. Sorry, I said again. Shit. I shut my eyes, cobbling together an understandable sentence. If you want to drive yourself home in the truck, I can come get it tomorrow. It'll be fine. It's an easy walk for me. Right. My brain sloshed too much as I nodded. Thanks for driving. I opened my door. Caleb touched my shoulder, stopping me before I'd actually climbed out. Ella, are you sure? He paused as I looked back, his brow furrowing with its two perfect creases. Tell me what I can do. I want to blame fatigue, or pain, or trauma, or anything other than pure selfishness, but I don't know if I deserve that kind of grace. Make up an excuse to not be at home and stay here? My voice crackled with the threat of more tears. If I get stuck in a nightmare, I don't want to wake up alone. He stared at the front door, brow still furrowed, lips in a thin line. A spiky stone settled in my throat. You'll be fine on your own, Ella. You don't need a living security blanket, Ella. Open your window for me. Ma'am. Ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am.
I am sorry for the pause. We have an intruder. She's the cutest.
Well, the problem was she was approaching the audio interface, which that could go very badly. So let's make sure that everything is still working. Yeah, there we go. We're good. For Pete's sake.
Just a hop up, a bite towards the mic and the laptop. Yep. This is how we roll.
Yeah, this is how we roll. Okay. You don't need a living security blanket, Ella. Open your window for me. He handed me my keys. I just fucking nodded and slid out of the truck, not offering a word of thanks. The dark and quiet inside the house added weight to the fatigue threatening to drop me whether I liked it or not. The tranquility prickled my skin, but I shoved the sensation away, forbidding myself from slipping into wondering if the feeling had been created by the thick shadows that made the house feel like a tomb or some sinister thing grazing my mind. Once I'd made it to my room and shimmied the window open for Caleb, I rallied the energy to grab sweatpants for him and fumble my way into clean pajamas before climbing into bed. Keeping myself tucked to the far left, I patted the spare pillow beside me. You sleep here. I'm fine on the floor, or a chair. Please don't. Pain lost its teeth as my body sank into the mattress. Don't do arguing. Just lie down so I can sleep. The bed, shifting, nudged up enough awareness for me to find Caleb, burrow close to his side, and tuck my head onto his shoulder. He wrapped his arm around me. You're safe. I've got you. I fell into the black before I could formulate an adequate apology for the nightmare I'd dragged into his life. The end. I'm kidding.
Can you imagine?
The end of chapter 22.
If I just left the book there?
Oh my gosh. No, I couldn't. No, I couldn't. I think that you would be panned, and rightfully so.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
We looked at the complete document today.
Yeah.
And this book, like Sketchbook of a Wayward Seer, it's
going to be about as long as Anchor and Crown.
It is already a whole ass book length.
Uh-huh.
Like, I could publish this ending here. I mean, I could have published an ending with the last chapter and people would be like, good length for a book. So she's going to be a chonker. This is going to be...
She is going to be a chonker. Wait, let's see. How long is she again already? So with chapter 21, which I haven't put into the master yet for whatever. Oh, that's right. Holidays. I got pulled away. But this is already over 80,000 words.
And just for...
So that's going to be over 330 pages in Word.
So for readers who have read some of my other things, the Tethering is about 58,000 and Anna of Ilbrea is about 80,000.
In Burnstone, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, Anna of Ilbrea is much longer than that.
No. Yeah. But Ember and Stone is about 80,000. Yeah. So this is up there.
Okay, so I want to not waste any time. What did you think? How do you feel?
I feel like I'm really nervous about your questions with this one. I also feel like we usually sit in the opposite chairs, and the fact that I'm in the wrong chair is bothering me.
No, you're not. No, this is correct.
Yes, I'm in the tall chair. You're in the short chair.
What? No, sit up straight. No, this is good.
No. I'm in the wrong chair because usually I sit on the flat chair and you sit on the scooped chair. But I'm not on the flat chair. I'm on the scooped chair. And so I couldn't get my brain to go away from the fact that my chair is curved and it's not usually curved. So you can ask me whatever questions you want because my brain was really stuck on fact that I was on the wrong chair.
Okay, so then question number one for the podcast. Where the hell did this blood come from? I thought for a second that she drunk some of the blood unknowingly while in the trance. So what happens? Is this one of those things like if you die in the Matrix, you die in the real world? Like, is her body experiencing some of this physical trauma, or do we not get to know that yet?
Next.
Damn it. I really wanted to know. Okay, it's fine. I'm not, and don't worry, I'm not going to ask her off the podcast either. I will find out when the time is right. Okay. So come on. There we go. Oh, you're an idiot.
I am not an idiot.
You're an idiot.
Me.
Do you remember what I said about me saying you're an idiot? It's the way that like Victor and I talk to each other, right? You're an idiot. So Megan,
But I do not agree.
And hey, I didn't.
This was deliberate cruelty.
I know you were. So, in case any of you out there are not fans of Twilight, which why wouldn't you be? What a brilliant piece of work. I roll my eyes as I say this. But there is this great moment in the film that was clearly improvised where they talk about seeing the movie Face Punch, punching faces. And so Megan put in here, white paper room, blood on face, crying, club, face punch. And during the read aloud session before this, I couldn't do it. I couldn't read it.
No, I had to take over that section and read it for you.
I was dying. Why did you do this?
The thing is, because it had to be, because
what an allusion to make to another body of work.
But the thing is, okay, it is important that she watched Clara punch somebody.
Yeah.
And she has to note that.
Yeah.
But just being like, punch is really generic. So it has to be punched guy.
Guy punch.
Club punch.
Punching faces.
And that's the thing. It's like at that point, it's like it's face punch or punched face. And it's like at that point, it should just
go
be
with it. Yeah.
Face punch.
You're right. It should be.
And yes, I think it's hilarious. And I did go with that because I knew that it would fuck with you.
Yeah, thank you.
But the process of getting there was not just to fuck with you. It was, well, these are my options. Might as well fuck with my husband along the way.
Is somebody keeping a fuck count?
22 million fucks.
Okay, so my next thing is a comment. Similar to the last one. So like I was a cat about to heave on his bed, Caleb snatched me up, dashing to the bathroom, and I went, this is not how I would have reacted if a cat was puking.
Caleb is way better in this situation than you are.
So why don't you tell them what happened that one time when Bubba this was back when our boy cat had wet FIP. So this is effusive FIP. And we were having to give him injections. And through those injections and him losing that liquid, sometimes it got lost as vomit. So please pick up from there.
So
He wasn't vomiting blood like Ella.
No.
Gross.
It was normal cat nonsense. But I wake up and towards like on Chris, I wake up to that awful sound that all cat owners know.
I'm not even going to do it. That's how nice I am. I'm not going to do it.
And he was someplace on the bed that I could not reach Chris, or I could not reach Bubba. So I smack Chris and I go, Bubba, move him. And so Chris literally picks the puking cat up from where he is around Chris's waist and gently sets the cat on the foot of the bed, still on the bed, still on the weighted blanket. He just moved him about 2 feet.
I was asleep.
It was still on the weighted blanket, but he just like shifted him 2 feet. So that would have been like if Caleb had pivoted you to the other side of the plastic drop cloth. No, he knows that if someone's making that sound, you don't keep them on the same surface. You move them.
Okay, next question, which you're also not going to be able to answer, I'm assuming. How could blood not taste right? Does this have something to do with the fact that she thinks Clara was poisoned?
Yes.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, I'll give you that
one. Oh, okay. Nice. I got one. Oh, okay. So this is an interesting editing thing. So Megan asked me, she's like, okay, so should we change this line? The line was, I gripped my sketchbook and pencil, staring at the barely legible words I'd scrawled out, fighting the panic that promised I'd already lost every important detail I'd just let myself be murdered to gain. She was like, should we change it to every important detail I'd just been murdered to gain? And I said, no. Because to say that I'd been murdered to gain takes that power away when she actually allowed it to happen.
Yes.
And this is why editors are important, right?
Because the thing is,
that was an editing win for me.
I don't like the shape of that sentence as much.
Sure.
That I just let myself be murdered. Like, I don't like the way it looks.
No.
But I agree that the self-empowerment of it is worth it for it to be not as pretty on the page and in the ear.
Yeah.
I think that importance is worth having it not to be the pretty powder.
So you also asked the question, you're like, so am I talking about cats too much in this chapter after I leaned into the sensation like a cat begging for pets? And I was like, I think that it just shows your mindset to the fact that you were constantly surrounded by cats when you're working.
It's true. I haven't left the house in a week and it's been great. I've just been with my cats. I don't usually do that. It's just like the post-Christmas burnout is real, so I've been hiding in my little den. And I was only with cats while writing this chapter. So that's probably why there are 2 distinctive cat references in this chapter, because you've been very busy at work.
Yes, I have.
I don't even think I called anybody on the phone unless it was for like absolutely necessary. Like I haven't talked to anybody in a long time because I've been hiding. I've just been with the cats. So that could be why there's so much cats in this chapter.
So I also, this is one I'm actually posing a question to you, dear listener. Did you have any professors in high school? Because I left a comment to Megan about stuff where she was talking about trying to find different words because she doesn't want to overuse the same word so many times. And I recalled something that one of my high school professors had said to me, which was, I don't want your paper looking like a thesaurus threw up all over it. And I was like, that's hilarious. And Megan went, do you have professors in high school? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I distinctly remember having professors because like one of my teachers junior year, my English 3 honors teacher was a doctor teaching at a university in the area. So I'm pretty sure we called her professor.
I don't know, but let us know.
Let us know because
high school is normal.
Maybe I'm making it up too.
Or if that's just weird.
Yeah.
But okay, the word that I was talking about, and see the don't let a thesaurus puke is like a common thing. It's just not necessarily said that way. Yeah. Wow, we're talking about cats and puking this whole time. But for me, I always think of it as synonym soup. Of like you don't want your chapter to become synonym soup. But then there are some things.
Look at how nice I'm being. I'm sharing my beer with you. Here, just give me this one. There you go.
Where in this one particularly, it was image. Because she's working purely in images and they're not pictures because they're fragmented. And it's one of those things where like,
that's an interesting distinction.
To use the same word so often. And so a lot of times I'll look for an easy fix. Like if there's a pretty elegant fix where it's like, oh yeah, that's totally fine. Just word is the same. Toss it in there. Like I will do that in case there is something that I'm just being silly and missing. But when it comes to things like image, it's like, no, it would have to be like the fragmented picture of, and it's like, no, that's not graceful. That's going to pull the reader out of it. Just say image and move on with your life.
I wanted to point out a moment of brilliance that I missed the first time that I wrote this is where we see the passage of time as she's drawing these when she says simply, I need a new pencil. And I didn't catch it at first. I went, oh my God, how much has she drawn at this point?
3 hours worth.
Wow. So yeah, of course she's going to need a new pencil because these are charcoals. Is that right?
No, because she just said pencils.
Oh, okay.
Because she wasn't expecting real sketchbooks.
Yeah.
She was expecting like notebooks.
Yeah.
So she was expecting like pencils from Violet's desk at home. So they are just normal pencils. Okay. They're not art things. Which is why they've lasted so long. Sure,
no kidding. And so is she just sharpening them without even thinking about it?
Well, she has people putting water in her mouth.
Right.
Like
this poor thing.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a really good reminder. So this is kind of one of the drawbacks to having this published over such a long period of time. For those of you who are listening to this, there are many, many more pluses, I believe, than there are drawbacks. But this is one of them, is forgetting things about certain characters. So will you remind us about Caleb?
Okay, well, it's not that you're forgetting something important, though, because it's never been important.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's not like you're.
No, but it's a cool. Okay, but it's a cool.
You're not forgetting an important detail.
It's a cool coloring to his character.
So Caleb's dad is human.
Yes.
Caleb is only half fae.
Right. And Caleb's dad works in the hospital.
Yeah, so that's why he's like, you can't take aspirin if you're puking blood, because he, as normal Etherean, would never consider taking aspirin.
Right, because he doesn't need it.
So the only time he's seen aspirin is in the context of his human father. And he's like, no, you can't take aspirin if you're puking blood. So it's true. That balance of like, he knows that she is nowhere near fae. But it's that awkward estimation of like, okay, so then she's not human, but should we treat her for puking blood like she's a human? Because that's really bad, but like she seems okay. But like that's the thing, is that it's being a Sybil is weird and people don't encounter Sybils often. So they simultaneously forget that she's strong and forget that she's not as strong as them.
Okay.
So it's like that weird.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be hard.
Yeah.
That would be hard.
Well, especially imagine growing up as a kid with werewolf cousins. All your cousins, all the kids you know back home are werewolves.
Yeah.
And you're a Sybil.
Yeah. So this next
Getting this shit knocked out of you unintentionally.
This next thing actually might be getting a little personal. I don't know. This is something that we have never really discussed. But you have her like scrubbing her skin in water so hot that it is burning her. Mm-hmm. Right? So this is something, and I actually thought about it. And I'm pretty sure this does also happen in the Sirens realm. Or it might be at the very end of the tethering, but where Amelia is trying to scrub something off of her hands. And it will not come off, but she's scrubbing it in very hot water. I know for a fact that it happens with Nola in Boy of Blood. Is this something that you have? I don't know how, like, why you would have done this, but like, why is this an important? Because this is important imagery to you clearly, as it's made it into 3 series.
Well, okay, so the whole blood on the hands thing.
No, I'm not talking about that. I mean, like, tearing the water up as hot as it'll go. It's almost like a self-punishment or a way to feel something. Not exactly. That's like cutting.
Maybe
but like,
it's like a girl thing.
I don't know.
Because like getting in the shower and just like blasting it on hot until it feels like every part of you is completely clean, and then being like, okay, now this is hurting.
I just realized what it was. You
What?
weren't allowed to just sit there in boiling, scalding hot water in
No,
your
I
home.
don't think it's even that.
No?
It's
Okay,
like,
man, I thought I was onto
it's
something. Join me as I psychoanalyze my wife.
No, it's because it's like, okay, this is as hot as my skin can possibly take.
Yeah.
I'm as clean as I can possibly be.
Right.
Without getting blisters. Okay, enough now.
Yeah, enough now.
But yeah, it's just like, maybe it's not even a girl thing. Maybe it's just a me thing. But like, if you feel like really gross, just like scrubbing yourself into, you're like, okay, I can't breathe. The shower is so hot.
Yeah.
Now I'll like clean in cold water.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually like, I've boiled the muck off of me.
Gross. That is awful.
Maybe that's just a personal me thing. Maybe, I don't know. Let us know. Let us know. But for me, that's what it is it's like shredding the nasty off your skin with the hot water. And then when you can't take it anymore, you're like, well, I assume this means I'm clean. And you turn it back down.
Well, and I think that it is clear, and I don't think that this is one of those times when the curtains are just green. I think that there is a clear connection to them scrubbing the muck physically off of themselves and getting rid of the muck emotionally, psychologically as well.
Well, you cut me off before.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
But the scrubbing of the hands is out damn spot.
Oh, right. For those of you who are not Shakespeare fans, that is from a play that I shall not utter.
Mackers.
It's the Scottish play.
We're not in a theater, but I get it.
It doesn't. We're producing something.
Yeah, I get it. But that is.
It.
But I think that the reason that out damn spot resonates so much, because it is that. It's when you have the evidence of whatever bad thing has happened still on your body, you can't make it any less real.
Yeah.
But once it's off your body, you can start to detach. You can start to make it be not as visceral, not as real. You can remove yourself of the situation, but not let you still have blood under your nails.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's really what it is to me.
Okay. All right. So like a visible manifestation of the issue.
Of trauma.
Yeah, of trauma.
Of like, you have to get the physical off first.
Right.
Before you can move on.
That's so interesting. Okay. No, I like it. That makes sense. Okay. My last question, and I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this, but I have actually a couple of questions within this question. Mm-hmm. So this is from the line, "So easy to break. Paige frowned as she tied the string into a tiny bow." Is any of this a vision? Are visions mingling with her dreams?
In this section?
In this section.
Yes.
So some of this is vision.
Yes.
Is all of it vision, or some of it mixing in with her imagination?
Yes.
Okay. So then my other question is,
should I just keep saying yes?
No, not necessarily. Yes. Stop it. Continue. No, this is weird, and this is getting into some almost Inception shit. But
okay.
Would there ever be a case of her having a vision of the future where what she's actually seeing is just something that is happening in her mind that isn't actually within the realm of reality without her mind? Like, does that make sense? Is she ever seeing anything that it's almost like a video on loop, like a camcorder recording a video, that kind of thing? Does that make sense?
Not even a little.
Okay. So would she ever have visions of dreams that she's had, that she's going to have?
No.
No. Okay. So this is everything.
She does not have visions of dreams.
Okay.
She has visions
I didn't
of reality.
think so. I was like, I don't know why this would be a thing, but I'm curious now.
Now, sometimes her sometimes her dreams are blurring shit.
Sure.
But she does not have visions of future dreams.
So, like, don't answer this. Don't answer this. I don't care. I don't want, even if I'm right.
Covering my face.
But, for instance, in this dream, there could be something clearly to the anger and frustration from Caleb and Paige that is real in the future as of now. But her being pushed down into the fissure of the cliff could be remnants of what she just went through with Clara. So, like, that's what I'm starting to, like, think. Anyway.
Oh, no, I don't think that's a spoiler at all. Okay. And that's absolutely true, is that there are real things being dragged in.
Yeah.
But no, the point of this vision isn't that Paige is going to take her to the same chasm and push her in.
No. Which
it's
I didn't figure.
When thoughts become representations, become premonitions, become nightmares, but no, she does not have premonitions of dreams.
Okay. I know that, like, again, it's a silly question, but I was just like,
it's not a silly question.
It's like, I wonder if her mind ever fools itself.
Well, every seer does things differently. So it could be that some seers do have visions of dreams, but she will have dreams of visions.
Yes.
But not the other way.
That is so crazy. This is like, it's too cerebral, even for me. No, I'm kidding. I love it.
You should see the charts.
No, thank you. I don't want to. A, because I don't want spoilers, and B, because your brain terrifies me, and C, I doubt I could comprehend it. Because as intelligent as I am no match for you.
Well, also my organization system would never make sense anymore. So, like, you could go into those files, and if you found the right page, you'd be like, ha 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 ha, I know what's happening for the rest of the series. But finding it within the withins would be difficult. Within the
withins. A book by Megan O'Russell.
I don't know what the little tabby things are called that you do the click. It's like there's
where the subcategories and stuff.
Like, there's like folders and
subfolders. They're just sub.
No, there's a different name for it. It's
there's an actual name for it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot. I do not know.
Okay, so stepping back away from the book now, why don't you tell us what's happening at Central Florida Comic Con?
Oh, right. So at Central Florida Comic Con,
which is in 2 weeks, right? A little less than.
Thanks to my Attackstrovert.
Yes.
We had been talking about having me do some panels at cons and run.
Well, because you've done panels before.
I've done panels
before.
Not
at a con. Not at a Comic-Con. Not at a Comic-Con.
Yes, I did.
At conventions.
In Pittsburgh.
Oh, at Three Rivers?
No, I was in Philly.
No. So at Fan Expo? No.
No, it must have been Pittsburgh. I have done it. I need to keep better track of this.
Okay, yeah.
But anyway, I've done panels before. I've done all those things.
Yeah.
But we were talking, we're like, okay, well, I need to actually be the one to formulate these instead of waiting for other people to do it.
Right.
And so my Attackstrovert got in touch with Central Florida Comic Con. And actually the Friday of the con, I am going to be doing not really a panel, but a world building session. And this is not something...
It's fun. We're not going to... I don't want to spoil it, but we did a miniature one the other day. She was like, let me run this by you and see what you think. So she led me through this exercise. It was cool. I was like, ooh, this is very interesting.
But it's not something that you are supposed to come to with your own world already in mind, or that you necessarily need to be an author or even a DM or a LARPer or anything like that. It's really just a fun way to think through how to build the next step when you're building a story. So to think through the possibilities of how you can link different components in your world and what you can do with that. So I am going to be doing that Friday at Central Florida Comic Con. I'm really excited about it.
Sometime at 4:45 or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
And
It'll be posted.
I've never, this is like, probably I shouldn't admit this on the podcast. I've never done this format of something where I'm creating the slides myself, and the way my brain works, sticking to an exact route of something is very hard. So I have a feeling that I'm going to put in a lot of work to these slides and then like get through 2 slides and go off chasing animals.
I'm also going to be
hills.
Moderating you too, so I'll be there to keep you in
Yeah,
line.
but if I want to go off through the hills, you're not going to stop me. I'm going to go off through the hills. So I have a feeling that my slides could be completely useless, but I'm really excited about this. I've done this activity before. I love doing it. I'm excited to bring it into a larger format, and hopefully if things go well as I think they should based on previous non-PowerPoint provided experience, hopefully I'll be able to offer this at some of my other events because it is useful and it's fun for authors.
Yes.
But you don't have to be an author in order to get something out of it.
No,
you don't even have to be a storyteller because it's really just fun.
Yeah.
But if you are a writer, if you are someone who works in world building, it's a really interesting kind of brain training activity to get yourself to think about the choices you're making when you world build in a different way. And that's the whole thing, is that I want you to think about your world building in a different way so that when it comes time, you can figure out how to open up all these options without driving yourself crazy, making connections that don't exist. It's all about connecting your world in a logical manner so that it is fun, it is intuitive, it is good for the reader.
Yeah, well, because even in these made-up worlds, fantasy, science fiction, you have to have rules, or your reader is not going to follow you. Because if it appears that you're just like willy-nilly creating paths for the character that shouldn't exist, then people are going to be like, well, what the hell is the point, right? Because there's no high stakes if you don't give them rules within the world to exist within.
Well, it's like worlds where like there is, and I actually saw this in a book recently, where there's literally no food growing, but no one's hungry.
You know, this happened...
It's this big barren world, and the whole thing is that it's big and barren, but not once in the whole book is anyone hungry.
You know, I'm gonna just real quick.
So that's something that I feel like in the world building workshop, like you really need to talk about and think through is like, okay, if you're in a barren world and no one's ever hungry, how? What's your how? What's your why?
Yeah.
Because in this, I'm not going to name the book because I don't want to author shade. It is a very well-established book, but I was reading it and the whole time I was like, where the fuck are people getting calories to survive?
Right.
Because based on everything I'm reading, everyone should be starving, unable to move. Yet you have no food and badass warriors. And so that's the thing. Is like when you are building these worlds, a world with no food is going to lead to starvation.
Yeah.
Unless. So what's your unless?
Right.
Because people don't consider the unlesses. And if we just look at that early in the world building process, you're going to create an intuitive system where you don't end up having to make up some weird dramatic thing to make it all go better at the end.
Yeah.
Because the way you've built your world makes sense.
So this is interesting because so is this, and not that we need to get deep into this, but as a plantser, writer, this sounds much more like a plotter than it does.
But no, because when I'm doing this, like, okay, let's talk about Albrea.
Okay. Also, we should probably face the microphone. We keep facing each other.
So in Albrea, I am a planter. So I know the beginning, middle, and end of everything. I know my important.
And in case you're joining us after the Hot Ones episode, if that was your first episode, we've talked about this before. But with authors, there's typically 2 types. There is a pantser, which means you are flying by the seat of your pants. You're kind of writing it as you go. And there is a plotter, which is somebody who meticulously plots out everything. And that's what's so interesting about Sketchbook is that this is forcing Megan into a place that she is not usually the most comfortable, which is as a plotter, because you have plotted the entire book.
I have plotted the entire book.
But things are still changing.
Things are still changing.
Okay. Yeah.
The problem for me is that with this project is that budgeting the right amount of chapters for the information with the structure that I have to use.
Yes.
Because normally my chapters sit around 2,500 words, but that's not enough to make it worth a whole week's episode of the podcast.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So the chapters have become longer so that I can have the beginning, middle, and end that's necessary for that episodic content. But back to Ilbrea.
No, actually, real quick, I had to interject one thing, is that when I say Plancer, that is a combo of the two. So plotter, pantser, plancer. So now you can continue.
Okay. So the thing is, I am a pantser, usually, or a roadmap pantser in most of my books. But I know what the rules of my world are. I am not creating world details by the seat of my pants. Like, gotcha. I've known from day one how magic works in Ilbrea, why it works that way.
Okay.
I've known why there are hungry people when the ground is fertile.
Right.
I've known what the local context of this is the good life, this is what you want, versus what the government wants you to think is a good life, this is what you want. And the thing is, with world building, I have a lot of freedom to figure out what goes in between these big pit stops in the plot, because I'm not fucking around with my world building.
Right.
I know how my world works, so I can function within it without screwing things up for later.
Right.
And that's the thing, is when you build your world in the beginning and you build it so the pieces make sense, even if it's a tangled web, there is a fucking web to begin with.
Yeah.
You keep from writing yourself into those corners because you have the groundwork.
Right.
And it's not going to be like some big lecture on like having an intuitive groundwork for your novel. No, it's going to be a fun Mad Lib style activity that will hopefully allow the people who do world building and whatever context it is to have a new way to think about building it from the beginning and step by step, so that it's all there and makes sense. And once your playground is built, you can do whatever the fuck you want because all of your pieces are on solid ground.
Yeah, sure.
That's what you need. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about doing the session, and I'm hoping that the slides I make so meticulously will actually be useful, and I'm not going to go off on a magical mystery tour, though I make no guarantees.
Right.
And hopefully this will be something that I can offer at future events and even in workshops with writing groups or schools, because it is something that is not going to be necessary to have a level of writing experience.
You should absolutely do this at schools, like because high schools and colleges.
There is no writing necessity. There is no craft necessary for this. It's just fun with reasoning behind it that will help, but it's just fun.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about it.
I'm excited about it too. I'm excited to do another con. It's been a hot second.
It has been.
I mean, like the Miami Book Fair was the closest thing that we've done lately, but the last con that we did, I did by myself.
That's
you
true.
weren't there.
I was sick in bed for 4 days.
So the last one we did together, I believe, was Florida SuperCon, which was a blast.
That one's amazing.
I'm hoping to do that one again this year. Although the signups haven't gone up yet, so I'll keep an eye on that.
The signups haven't gone up yet, but I loved it. Like, I want to stay at the same hotel.
That hotel was bad.
I want to go to that same restaurant that bribed us with tequila shots to leave our table.
It was great. It's like, so now we know. It's like, just sit there, just sit here, just wait.
No, okay,
just
so
wait.
I'll tell the story and then we'll be done with the episode.
I think you did tell the story.
I did?
I think so already. But go ahead. No, repeat. It's worth repeating.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry if I already told the story.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
But at the Central Florida Comic-Con near our hotel, there was a Mexican restaurant.
Not Central Florida, Florida SuperCon.
Sorry, Florida SuperCon. There was a Mexican restaurant that was absolutely amazing.
It was fantastic.
And we walked past it one night and I was too tired, so we went back the next night.
And they had these delicious frozen margaritas. And
it was so good. And they had picnic tables outside. And so we were sitting at a picnic table enjoying our food and our margarita.
It was beautiful.
And apparently this place, well, not apparently because we saw it happen. We didn't know at the time, but this place becomes like a club.
In the club, we all fam.
Like it becomes like pots, at night. And we didn't know this.
No, we didn't.
We didn't know this at all, which made a lot more sense when people in like stilettos started showing up. I was like, why are you at a picnic table place in stilettos? But anyway, so the bouncer, who was like big beat, like he was a bouncer, comes by and he's like, I'm going to need these tables soon. We got to set up the rope here. And we were like, oh, okay, cool. Like we were almost done. Like 5 minutes out from finishing our food. So like no big deal. I'll sit faster. We be out in 3. Fine. I've been a server. I get it. But he just continues on. If you want a free shot of tequila inside, if you give up your table, you can come inside and you'll get a shot. we were like, well, first of all, we have no choice but to leave because you are very large and telling us to. So we're obviously just going to do what you say, sir. Like, okay, we'll go. But we're like, okay. And so we go inside because this is a turn. Like during the day. It was decent tequila too. It was not like bottom shelf stuff. I was like, okay. During the day, before it becomes this glamorous club where people wear stilettos, which I'm so proud of the youth for wearing sneakers to clubs instead of stilettos. Yeah, good for you guys. Good for fucking you. As someone with arthritis in her feet, good for you kids. Anyway, so we go inside. We take our little trays inside because during the day it has like a metal tray and you got to carry your metal tray back. Mm-hmm. So we carry our metal tray. A server takes our metal tray and this bouncer, literally this massive bouncer that I don't like. He was fucking huge. So he has this tiny tray and he literally with these little bitty tongs you out a lemon. He tonged a lemon wedge into our fingers. Lime wedge into our. It's like, how dare you? The aphasia's bad today. So he tonged a lime wedge into our fingers with these teeny tiny tongs, and then he gave us a tequila shot and was like, "Thanks, guys. Have a good night." It was amazing because we got like our thanks for being cooperative with what we told you to do, whether you liked it or not. Tequila shot for the road. You know, to be fair, lemons. And I'm not even a shot person, but when the bouncer gives you a free shot to leave in this weird bar, like you just do it. It's like the longboat driver in Thailand when he offers you a drink of whiskey. When you're going on a death-defying boat ride in Thailand in the middle of the night, and your driver's already drunk and asks you for whiskey, but you have no choice but that or to face the snakes. You take the drink, man. Yeah, you take the drink. It's either the drunk boat driver or the cobras, and we took the drunk boat driver. Yeah, and it was awesome. It was so fun. I mean, I can swim. I don't know anything about snakes. I'm a decent swimmer. Yeah. Snakes, I can't help you with. I don't okay, like so snakes. Like we made the choice for a reason. We did. Okay. We did. Okay, all right, but now that we've talked about tequila, whiskey, Comic-Cons, and world building, after that sound was a facepalm, by the way. After Ella drank blue electrolytes, we should probably say goodbye. So why don't you go ahead and tell the people where they can find us? Tell the good people where they can find us. You can find us, I don't know, all kinds of places. You can follow me on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram if you want to keep up with the podcast. If you want to be a huge help to Page by Page, make sure that you like, follow, subscribe, rate the podcast. If you can comment on the episode on your platform, that would be great. And if you are on Substack with us, you can actually put comments on Substack. So do that too, because I love talking to y'all on Substack. It is so much fun. It is fun. So until next time, thank you for reading.